you are just tuning in, this is news on GStube TV. A very big shout out to our subscribers and followers. Thank you very much. As you know, on News on GStube TV, we treat you with news, information proper on entertainment, education, and sports. News headline: Federal Government of Nigeria plans isolation centers at borders, 4,000 tests daily. Now, the news in proper. The federal government of Nigeria, as part of efforts to take advantage of 2-week lockdown extension ordered by the President of Nigeria, General Muhammadu Buhari, aims to conduct 4,000 COVID-19 tests every day. The director of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC), Chikwe Ihekweazu, who disclosed this on Tuesday during a briefing of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 in Abuja, said 2,000 tests would be conducted in Lagos, 1,000 in Abuja, and 1,000 in other parts of the country. The Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ehanire, said isolation centers would be established at the country's land borders. Buhari had on Monday extended the 14-day lockdown he ordered in the Federal Capital Territory, Lagos, and Ogun States on March 29 by another 2 weeks. The NCDC Director General on Tuesday recalled that the President, in his speech on Monday, said the public health response to COVID-19 was dependent on ability to detect, test, and admit cases as well as trace all contacts. Ihekweazu said Nigeria had increased its laboratories for testing COVID-19 to 12, adding that the federal government would ensure every state had a lab. The NCDC Director General stated that they have achieved largely by leveraging on existing molecular laboratory capacity within the network across the country. They now have the capacity to test 1,500 persons per day. The challenge they face right now is not laboratory capacity, but how active our public health workforce is in collecting samples from identified suspected cases and sending them to the laboratory for tests. Ihekweazu said part of the innovation being developed by the Presidential Task Force was to track all test kits sent to states to ensure they were effectively utilized. According to him, he visited Lagos during the Easter period where a new strategy was developed, stressing that the new strategy must be replicated across the country. Sample collection centers to be established, while highlighting processes involved in testing of samples. The NCDC boss stated that it took at least 12 hours for a sample test to be completed. He added that a positive sample test could take longer period. He stated, "We are establishing clinics in Lagos where people can go and have their swabs collected through a special arrangement. That is, the swabs have to be distributed to 3 laboratories in Lagos and in the following morning have to be sorted. It is a complex process, but we have managed to improve on it. Outside Lagos and Abuja, there are places where we have laboratories and where we have extra complications of transportation to the laboratories. There is a courier that does that on our behalf. You cannot just collect a sample. You have to save it in a medium that saves its viability until it gets to the laboratories." According to Ihekweazu, the lockdown is not a stop to the outbreak. He said the lockdown extension announced was meant to ensure that the country was ready for reopening of its economic activity without fear of further spread of the virus. He said, "The goal of the lockdown is not to stop the outbreak, but what we are trying to achieve is to work efficiently within the context of reopening economy. Our challenge is to show that we can reopen the economy slowly and maintain public health response within a slowly calibrated reopening economy, and we have 2 weeks to demonstrate this across the country." Also at the briefing, the Minister of Health stated that the primary health centers were not meant to treat coronavirus patients. He added that the treatment centers would be sited at border areas to cater for Nigerians returning from neighboring countries. The minister also said government was concerned about the prevalence of COVID-19 in the neighboring countries. He stated, prevalence of COVID-19 in neighboring states is a new concern. There is a plan to build treatment centers near the legal entry borders. The borders are closed, but when Nigerian citizens turn up, they are allowed in. The news explained. This is according to the meeting of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. The Director General of the NCDC disclosed this on Tuesday during a briefing that 4,000 persons will be tested daily in the centers. Wow, that is impressive of the commission. As a matter of fact, they will be testing 2,000 in Lagos, 1,000 in Abuja, and 1,000 in other states. That is still impressive. According to the Minister for Health in Nigeria, he said they are planning to build more isolation centers and testing centers in the land close to land borders in Nigeria. They want to build these centers very close to the borders in Nigeria. Meanwhile, at the moment, the land borders in Nigeria, the legitimate land borders in Nigeria are closed already. But if Nigerians, according to the Minister of Health, turn up, they will be accepted into these isolation centers in the border. Also, the Director General of the NCDC, Iyeke Azu, said that part of the innovation being developed by the PTF was to track all test kits sent to the states to ensure they were effectively utilized. Well, this is another measure by the NCDC to make sure that the test kits sent to various states are being utilized very well, and probably these kits are delivered to their destination safely and all. He said that he visited Lagos during the Easter period where a new strategy was developed, stressing that the new strategy must be replicated across the country. According to him, his visit to the Lagos state during the Easter period, they developed a new strategy, and this strategy will be, replicated in other states. While highlighting processes involved in testing of samples, the NCDC boss stated that it took at least 12 hours for a sample test to be completed. So, according to the NCDC boss, he said it takes at least 12 hours for a sample test to be done. For a test to be successful and all in the laboratory, they have to go through 12 hours and even more if it is a positive case. Really? And according to the NCDC boss also, he said the lockdown is not a stop to the outbreak, but the lockdown is a means of ensuring for reopening of the economy of Nigeria without the fear of the spread of coronavirus. He said the goal of the lockdown is not to stop the outbreak, but what we are trying to achieve is to work efficiently within the context of reopening our economy. Our challenge is to show that we can reopen the economy slowly and maintain public health response within a slowly calibrated reopening economy, and we have 2 weeks to demonstrate this across the country. Well, according to the NCDC boss now, we can see that the 2 weeks extension of the lockdown is not to stop the coronavirus, but to ensure that we can, after 2 weeks, we open our economy back slowly and steadily, and at the same time manage the public health procedure and response within a slowly calibrated reopening economy. So they will be able to do this in just 2 weeks. Wow. And also, sample collection is now the problem. According to the NCDC Director General, he said we have achieved this largely by leveraging on the existing molecular laboratory capacity within our network across the country. We now have the capacity to test 1,500 people per day. According to the NCDC boss, he said they now have the capacity to test 1,500 persons per day nationwide. Wow. The challenge right now is not laboratory testing capacity, but how active our public health workforce is in collecting samples from identified suspected cases and sending them to the laboratories for testing. We have sufficient testing capacity of 1,500 per day, but we are not close to exhausting it every day. From today, we have to push harder. Our target following the president's speech is to get to testing 2,000 per day in Lagos, 1,000 in Abuja, and 1,000 for the rest of the country. This is the target we have agreed. Wow. So the NCDC boss, according to him, they are trying to up their own game by testing 2,000 persons in Lagos, 1,000 in Abuja, and 1,000 in other parts of the state. Well, this is quite impressive of the NCDC as a means of combating the COVID-19, and we expect to hear more from the NCDC boss as soon as possible. Well, here we bring to the end of the news on GistTube TV. This is the Olamide reporting. Do well to click on the subscribe button to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all social media at GistTube TV. Follow me personally on all social media at the Olamide_. Thank you very much. Stay safe.